So, we're going to review 5.2. It says in the figure, triangle LMN is congruent to triangle RST. What did we call this statement? Don't overthink it.
Congruent.
It's a congruent statement. That's all it's saying. And in this congruent statement, what do I know L is congruent to? R. And what do I know? What's the next letter? M is congruent to? S. And then N is congruent to?
T.
Perfect. Okay, so we're going to use that to find X and Y. How many places do you see X?
Twice.
It is in two different places, right? So which one is easier?
3x.
The 3x is easier to solve for, right? All right, so if you notice in our triangles, both of them, they're congruent to each other, right? We don't have much information in the first one, right? We don't have much information in the second one. But if we combined the information, we would have enough to solve the problem. Is X a side or an angle?
Angle.
This X, 3x. It's an angle, right? So we just need the three angles in a triangle to find out what X is, correct? So which angle do we not know in our triangle here?
T.
We don't know T, but we know that T is congruent to N. Wrong letter. It's okay. T is congruent to N. They're both the last letter in the congruent statement. So T is 63. And then what do we know about the three angles in a triangle? They add up to 180. So 63. Correct. Plus 93. Plus 3x. And now they equal 180. I'm getting there. What is 63 plus 93? 156. It's okay. Plus 3x equals 180. Go and subtract that 156 from 180. What do we get? 24. All right, divide by 3 and x is 8. So before we move on, there was another way to solve this. You could have figured out what 3x equaled individually, right? You have 93 and 63. So out of 180 degrees, you have 93 and 63, which makes still 156. And what's 180 minus 156? 24. So option 2, I've seen some students, they figure out what this angle equals, and then they say 3x equals 24. And would we have still gotten x equals 8? Would we have still gotten x equals 8? Yeah, we still would have. So that's another option to do. When it comes to the other, we got an x and a y there. Is it a side or an angle? It's a side. How do I know it's a side?
Because it's on the outside.
It's on the outside, not just that. Does it have a bubble?
No.
It does not. So it is a side length. It's the length of SR or RS. What is it going to be congruent to on the other triangle? LM. So if they're congruent, that means that they are the same measure. So 3x plus y will equal 43. I have two variables, which is not helpful. Do I know the value of one of them?
Yes.
Yes, I know x, right?
8.
It's 8. All right, what is 3 times 8? 24 plus y equals 43. I know I'm running out of room. I'm so sorry. Subtract 24. And y is 19. 19. So, angles equal angles, sides equal sides. You will never see them mix and match. Okay? Any questions on this one? Okay. The next one, find the measure of angle T. Find the measure of angle T. So, do we have any information in T's triangle? No, not number-wise, but we do know we have R is congruent to another angle. What is R? Yeah. What? To A. Yep, you're saying two different things. That's good. R is congruent to A, which means it's 41 degrees. And then S has two arcs. It's congruent to B, which is 74. And then how do we find angle T?
You add them together and you subtract 180.
Correct. So we take 41, we add it to 74, which makes 115, yeah. So to find out the other angle, we're going to subtract that from 180. 180 minus 115 is?
Wait, you said what?
65. So the measure of angle T is 65. It does say explain your reasoning. We are going to do that. And all we're going to do is, how did we know what these angles, what they measured? They're congruent. So R was congruent to angle A, and angle S was congruent to angle B. You could always write out the reasoning if you wanted. It's up to you. But this is as short and sweet and simple as I can make it. Questions for this one? Okay. Identify the congruent corresponding part, given that TSR and triangle ABC are congruent. So it says SR. Before we even begin, what does S correspond with on the other triangle?
B.
S corresponds with B. And then we know that because they both have one arc. R has two arcs. What does it correspond with on the other triangle? C. And then T has three arcs, which means it corresponds with A. So we have SR. It does matter the order you write it in. So they said S first. So what corresponds with S? B. And then they said R second, which corresponds with C. The next one says angle C is congruent to. We already said it, right? Angle C is congruent to angle R. They both have two arcs. Yes, that's how we knew. The number of arcs. And then BC. You can also, sorry I interrupted you. But you can also look at, BC has three lines, right? 1, 2, 3. So it's congruent to the other line that has 3 dashes. But it just matters the order that you write them in. So B came first, so R comes first, like you said. And then C came second, which corresponds with... No, I did it backwards. Sorry. B corresponds with S, and C corresponds with R. So sorry. But you knew, and that's good. You knew. The last one, and we'll move on with our lives. Each of these are separate questions, just with the same picture. So if you want to draw a picture off to the side, it really is just going to be adding and subtracting from 180. So it's not like you need a bunch of room for math. So we have TSR. And we have ABC. So normally a congruent statement has a congruent symbol instead of this. Like normally it has, the congruent sign. But we're going to take this as our congruent statement. TSR is congruent to ABC. So T corresponds with A, so they should go in the same place. T corresponds with A. Then we got B corresponds with S, so they should go in the same place. Which means C corresponds with R. Are we all okay with which ones are congruent? T and A, S and B, and then R and C. Okay. If R is 19 and B is 56, we want to find the measure of angle T. So we want to find this angle here. So in this triangle we have 19. We don't have S. But we know that S is congruent to what angle in the other triangle? B, which is 56, right? So then how do we find the measure of angle T now?
You add these together, subtract from 180.
Correct. We're going to add them and then subtract from 180. So what is 56 plus 19? 75. 180 minus 75 is 105. All right, so our next one, it's using the same picture, just new numbers. Okay, so we got R is at 19 degrees. No, is it the same problem 3 times? Oh, it just asks for you to find S. So why did I erase anything? Bring it back. Sorry. All right, so T was 105. So we want to find the measure of angle S. Didn't we already do that? Angle S is 56. And then angle C. Angle C has 3 arcs, right? So angle C is congruent to angle R. So it is 19 degrees. And then this last one looks different, but it's using the same picture. It says BC. So is that an angle?
No.
That's a side length. So it's giving us the length of from B to C, which is 11. So BC is 11. And then it says that TR is, what number does it say? 20. And we want to find RS. Okay. So what does RS correspond with on the other triangle? Yeah, CB. So if they correspond together, they're congruent to each other. So then what is the length of RS? 11. So remember that sides equal sides, angles equal angles.